Hi, I'm David,
And I'm Neil.
and we are not film critics. This episode we'll be talking about WandaVision. So, what did you think of the show, Neil, overall?
I loved it. Coming into the show, I was a little bit skeptic. They make amazing stories and they get it from comic books and stuff, right? But coming into the show, I'm like, how are they gonna pull this off? How are they gonna turn Wanda and Vision into a show, right? Because on screen, movie, that feeling when you're watching superheroes, you're like thrilled and stuff. How is that gonna translate into a show? Obviously, there's some shows like The Flash, Supergirl, even Umbrella Academy, where they have like, superheroes and they're like super thrilling to watch. I mean, on my end, I think I obviously underestimated Disney and Marvel's capacity.
Yeah, personally, I really like going into the show. I saw the trailers. I really liked the feel that they were going for, like the old style, going through like a different periods of TV shows. I was really into that because I always like really weird premises for shows. Like if you give me a weird premise for a show, I'm watching that 100%, no doubt. But the way they execute it actually left me kind of disappointed. It was kind of the opposite reaction to you because you were like not expecting much and you got blown away. Well, I was expecting like a lot, not a lot, but I was expecting something. I wasn't really fully satisfied by the end of the show. There were some good bits. I definitely liked the beginning couple of episodes. I really liked I didn't love the ending of the show, but it was a good ending. It like wrapped everything up nicely. There's a lot of nice like mystery and suspense. But honestly, I feel like it could have done more. It definitely could have done more, and I feel like they were handicapped a bit. I don't know like how to really express that, but I felt like they were handicapped, the creators, when they were creating the show.
Wait, why is that? Like, why do you what were your expectations?
Okay. Because my expectation going into the show that it would be because the first episode created some expectations for me because for the trailers and the first episode, because I saw the first episode and it's like, okay, so my expectation was for each episode they're going to be doing like a different, like a sitcom style, right? Like 40s, 50s, 60s, blah 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 blah, all that stuff. And I was really excited for that because I'm like, hey, yeah, I like TV history. That's cool. And, I really like going through all the styles and everything. And in each episode, there's going to be little hints of, oh, something's going on like weird outside, like, oh, something's not right here. Like in the first episode, it was like, when his boss was choking and like all of a sudden, everything seemed to stop and everything got weird. And then in the second episode, the person, like a random guy came out of like the sewer cell and then she rewinded time. I really like that. But then, as the episodes went on, it slowly turned out that was like just an opening premise for the show. It wasn't the whole thing. That was just kind of the first few episodes. And after that, it kind of devolved into a formulaic Marvel thing where it was like, oh, okay. Like, my biggest problem with the show, honestly, is the third episode. Because in the third episode, if I remember correctly, the third episode is that, what is it?
I think it was the one where she got pregnant.
Oh, no, now it's the third one. It's the fourth one. It's the fourth one. Sorry. It's not the third one. It's the fourth one. The biggest problem with this with the fourth episode of the show because they reveal everything. They tell you what's exactly going on, how everything lines up. But the thing is, I don't think we needed that early. They kind of showed everything like behind the curtain way too early. I didn't need to know that. Why did I need to know that Monica Rambeau, what happened with Monica Rambeau in like episode 4? If maybe they saved that for episode 6, 7, 8, then maybe we could have had more reveals. There would have been more suspense for longer. So more of the series could have been what it was trying to promote, like going through each of the the time periods of history and TV history with different little hints to where something's not right. Something's not right. Instead of just saying, oh, in episode 4, oh yeah, like everything everything that's gonna happen for the rest of the series, because once episode 4 once episode 4 aired, I was kind of like, okay, now what? Because I feel like they revealed everything. I knew exactly what was going to happen for the rest of the show. They didn't really there was no really surprise anymore besides the villain twist, and even then I wasn't as much as on board with that as everyone else was. Like everyone's like, oh my god, I love this villain twist. I wasn't super on board with it. It was like, okay, cool, but like I was really interested in the mystery and the suspense of the show. While the episode 4, they were like, oh yeah, it's like like for example, if you're watching a mystery movie or like a mystery, like Knives Out, right? And in the first maybe 45 minutes movie, they reveal the killer, and it's the correct killer. They reveal everything, and then they go on the rest of the movie just acting like you don't know what's happening when you do know what's happening, and everything just feels it feels like you lose that sense of like magic that the first three episodes was really good, and that personally I think that was one of the greatest things that the series could have done better, because if it did that better, then I think it would have been a really great series. But it just kind of fizzled out instead.
So yeah, I definitely agree with you with them showing you the story early, but you also have to put into account, it's only 9 episodes. So I guess the writers wanted to show, they want to reveal what's actually happening, then rather so they can incorporate more storylines, which obviously they did with Monica, with and then later on with with the actual villain, Agatha. But yeah, maybe if they would have, if they'd had a full season, a full television season of like 22, 24 episodes, it would probably be a whole lot better than it is. But not to say it's a bad show. It's an amazing show. It blew me away. After watching WandaVision, I now have like high expectations for all the other TV shows or miniseries that are coming out on Disney Plus. Obviously, right now there's the Winter Soldier and the Falcon, and then
Yeah,
coming
the
up
Falcon and
there's
Winter
Loki.
Soldier.
I definitely have high expectations for those now, and that's due to being WandaVision being actually really good.
Yeah. I mean, like, personally, I don't know if, like, making it a 22 episode show would help the problems. Because, like, I get, like, obviously, I think they had to make it, like, a 9 or 10 episode show to, pacing, because they didn't have that much plot that they could stretch it out. And I think it would be worse if it was stretched out than if it was condensed, you know? But I still think, like, it is a good show, 100%. I really liked, uh, I really like, the twist villain at the end. Actually, let's talk about the twist villain a bit. What'd you think about Agatha, the witch and everything, and how she took her through like all of Wanda's memories? What what's your thoughts on that?
I like her audition. In the beginning of the show, the first 2 3 episodes, she's like definitely the most liked character aside from Wanda and obviously the main characters. She's the most liked for me, at least. I liked her so much. She just adds in that joy. She adds in that flair into the show. And then you see in the end, she turns into like she well she didn't turn into one, but she is the villain, and she's causing all the issues. And I thought after the fourth, fifth, sixth episode, this shows make sense. And then this comes on, she comes on, she's revealed. I'm like, wow, so she did all that, and it's good, obviously, but I think they would have, for me, it would have been better if they'd maybe spend more time on her, I guess, backstory, so we'd understand, why.
Definitely.
Obviously they showed that, that's that small clip, that small scene with her and her mother and all the other witches, but like we don't know how she got there, right? We don't know how she just sneaked her way in.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something I wish that the writers and the show would have dug deeper on.
Mm-hmm. Another things I saw, like when they revealed like the twist villain, like, oh, it's Agatha all along, that whole song. A lot of people I saw online were like absolutely like, oh god, what a twist. And I'm like, it was fine. It was fine. Like it wasn't amazing. It's not like we're like dealing with like a twist that changes the whole story. It's like it's basically the same, except now we have a big bad at the end. And honestly, that's another one of my problems, but we'll get into that later. Um like like the twist was good. I like, obviously, like, the actress for Agatha, she was great. Definitely, like, she definitely brought a lot. But I also agree with your criticism that she could have used more when, like, backstory wise, because even like I had my initial reaction to like the episode. I can't remember exactly which episode it was, but where they reveal Agatha's backstory, and she's all like, oh, like I was a witch, and then all of that stuff. I think it was, oh yeah, it was episode 8 where she reveals her backstory about like the Salem witch trials and blah blah blah, and like then she like took all their powers, she became super powerful. Like I feel like that was like super rushed. It was like, okay, we're establishing quickly, and then we're just gonna move on. Like I had more questions, like, okay, with these cult of witches, where did these people come from? Like we have magic in this universe because of Doctor Strange, but I want to know where these witches come from. Never introduced like straight up witches. Is this like Doctor Strange magic, or is this different? And then the whole dichotomy, like where they introduced like, hey, did Wanda really have these powers like just inside her all along, or was it something else that unlocked them? Was it just the Mind Stone unlocked them, or did the Mind Stone give her the powers? And they pretty heavily suggest that she had them all along, and I don't know if I like that.
Yeah, I also, episode 8, I did not like that episode. It was probably my least liked episode. I feel it was not needed, it was not needed. So they focused, that episode is focused on Wanda's past. I don't think we needed that, or I don't think we needed a whole 40 minutes of that. If they would have spent that time on maybe Vision's, how it was like looking for answers and stuff. If they spend that time, or maybe a little more time on that, it probably would have been a better episode, or even a better show. Or again, Agatha's backstory, like where'd she get those powers? How'd she get into the blip? And yeah, I think they definitely could have done that better. Also, one of the other criticism I have of the show is I feel they had a little too much characters.
Really?
Just a little too much, because they had to find ways to incorporate characters, and it just doesn't sit well. For example, Monica, right? Monica Rambeau. I didn't, she in the beginning she was like good, she brought the tension and stuff, but toward the end, I'm like, was she really needed, right? Did she really need to, get powers and show what she has to do? And obviously they showed that, but it was too little of time, and then after they had Evan Peters, the Wanda's brother, and towards the end he was like revealed to be Evan Bonner or Boner, and I'm like, what is he adding on to the story other than being playing the role? But yeah, I think they having extra characters, it was definitely put pressure onto the writers to incorporate those characters.
Yeah, I definitely get the criticism that like the characters of like what's her face, Darcy and Jimmy Woo, and like like those kind of characters, and the Hayward guy, they weren't needed at all. Like you can cut them out of the show and you lose absolutely nothing. When it's your characters are that unnecessary, it kind of feels like you're just putting them there so so fans go, aha, look, there's that person from that one thing. It doesn't feel necessary anymore. Like, and honestly, like Hayward, the villain, I think people are supposed to hate him. He is a villain. That's his job at the end of the day, to be villainous. But he's like, his plan makes no sense. He doesn't even he doesn't understand what he's doing, and his character is so redundant. Like I wish like they just took him out. You don't need a big guy in a suit and to like scream orders at a bunch of like military guys to take out Wanda and her children. You can just have Wanda and Vision, going through some grief, and maybe if you want, throw Agatha in on the side. Go ahead, throw Agatha in, have them a giant space battle, even though that's really not needed, but whatever. You gotta check some boxes. That's fine. But why do you need Hayward there? I don't understand why they needed him there. I don't get it. Like, take him out, you lose nothing. Like, it could have been a random guy, and like, his plan, it could have been a random guy, and the story would have stayed absolutely intact. Would you have lost maybe the White Vision? I guess. But like, I don't think that was also not needed. It could have actually had a team up, between Wanda and Vision, symbolizing their cooperativeness and their loving relationship. And not that that's really great, but whatever. I don't know. It's off the top of my head over here. But you could have had them fighting against Agatha, and that would have been cool. I would have liked that. But instead, they have Hayward for no apparent reason other than we gotta have someone. We gotta have just a military guy. Gotta have a bad guy, a military bad guy, and it was unnecessary. It was unnecessary.
So is Darcy. I don't really hate that character. I just hate how she's played. There was that part with her and Vision when they were in that bus, right? Like, what was that for? That was not needed, right? Again, you could take out that scene, or you could take out Darcy as a character, but I wouldn't prefer her being taken out, because obviously she's funny, as well as Jimmy Woo. I think they add that like, that character that everyone likes.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, they add that factor into the show, but again, they weren't needed. Also, another storyline they would I would have loved them to explore more, have the show and reveal was is probably Vision. I feel like I guess obviously Wanda is the main character, right? But the show is WandaVision. Wanda and Vision. I feel Vision had very little time. For me, I feel like they could have added him more. They could have added that version of Vision. They could have put him have him more a part of the story, rather than just Wanda being by herself. And again, I would have liked it better if Wanda and Vision fought Agatha, rather than just being Wanda fighting Agatha.
I mean, personally, I don't see like I think the amount of Vision they had in the show was fine. Like, I don't see like any need for any more Vision. But I think what you want is Vision having a more an impact on the story, because through the first couple episodes he doesn't really do anything. Like obviously the first couple episodes I'm fine with him being like a comedy side character if that's what the whole show is about, right? But when you're getting into these super serious scenes with all these characters having so much effect on the plot, and then you cut to the second part of your title and he's fooling around in a car, or like he's doing absolutely nothing most of the it's ridiculous. Especially when like some like I'm fine if you're ridiculous, but like you have at least like a baseline, because you have to be internally consistent. You have to be consistent with I think it's internally, inside the show. But when you're not internally consistent, when you have moments where like it's super serious, but then you also have moments where Vision is like because I really like the argument scene between them. That was a good scene because he actually had some agency in that scene, and that's what I think he needed more of, agency in the show to do what he wanted. Because most of the time, he just kind of ended up doing what Wanda wanted, and sure, like the whole thing is like Wanda is partially controlling Vision a bit, but like, or that's still up for debate or whatever. But I feel like he still could have had more agency. There was that scene where he broke out, but like he doesn't do much, like inside, because most of the time what's happening is Vision's off doing his thing and Wanda's off doing her thing, you know. And they're only I really liked the first episode and the second episode because they're together for a lot of the scenes. Like there's that whole magic show scene where they're like right beside each other. And that was cute. I liked that. It was funny, and like it was it was a good scene because it showed their chemistry, and like it was a nice scene, even though like it was comedy slanted. But I like comedy. I'm not a comedy snob over here. I like that scene because it's cute, it's fun, it shows off the show a bit. But then there's other scenes where they're like in two different locations. Like Wanda's helping the boys find their dog that died or something, and then Vision's in a whole completely other part of the town, and they're like completely disconnected. And it feels like they shouldn't be. It feels like they should be like solving stuff together.
Yeah, exactly. They I don't know. I feel like toward the end they kind of rushed the whole show as well. Because yeah, obviously they only have 9 episodes. They have to show the whole story, but they could have taken out some stuff to make the show and add other stuff to make the show much better. And yeah, one of the things, obviously, having Vision having a more impactful part to the story, having a more impactful part to the story. And obviously, I think they got a little restricted with having, again, so many characters, so many minor characters that they had to incorporate. But in the end, they were just sitting on the bench.
Mm-hmm. And they kind of just shoved Vision off to the side.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's a good show. Obviously, it's a good show. It's just it could be better, but obviously for me, it's much better than I thought it would be.
Mm-hmm. I think I think the final thing that could have really like made the show like way better is my favorite episodes of the show personally are the first like 2 or 3 episodes because they're hinting at stuff that's to come, but you don't know what's fully happening, and that's compelling, you know. And I feel like in the first 2 episodes they commit the hardest to the not to the bit, but like to the idea, to the premise of the show that this is a sitcom, this is a sitcom, and we're going through the era and blah blah blah. They commit the hardest in the first 3 episodes, but then the back half of the season they barely commit. Like the episode that's parodying Modern Family, like that whole style of
Yeah,
like
yeah,
sitcom. It's like it's not committing as hard as I would like it to. It feels like soft capped. It feels like they went like, okay, like in the first 3 episodes, do whatever you want, but as the series gets on, they're like restricted by like these higher ups at Marvel. I'm just guessing over here. This is obviously not founded and all. But like they're restricted because they want to, like really go hard and on like the cool premise of the show. But then they're like, oh no, we gotta tell this story. We gotta tell this story. And we gotta tell this story. And so then everything, like the whole style of the show, ends up feeling like capped when it feel like it should be able to, have a bit more freedom and a bit more like not run wild, but have a bit more space to breathe, if that makes any sense.
yeah. And some of the scenes and some of the characters, that it makes them restricted. But I think there was that one scene with Vision and that other guy from work when they were reading the email, and then he I think he freed him off of Wanda's mind slave or mind control. That gave me hope. I'm like, after that, I wanted more Vision. I wanted him to actually figure out, because Vision as a character, right? Like in Marvel movies or Marvel comics, he's a smart man. He's intelligent and he can figure things out. But in the show, I feel like he's undervalued, and not undervalued, but he's not like the characteristics of Vision that makes Vision is not there. Obviously, part of that is probably because it's Wanda's control and it's not actually Vision. But we see that he's still smart. He's still intelligent because at the end of the, I think it was the last episode when he was fighting the White Vision, he outsmarted him. And the show made promises that it couldn't keep. I think that's my biggest problem with the show.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, it's still a good show.
I think
fun to watch.
I mean, not from my personal experience, but I've heard of others. The biggest like promises they couldn't keep of the show is the Quicksilver, like the whole, he was revealed, and then it turns out he's just like a joke.
Yeah.
He's not really connecting to anything, and there's like all the fan theories are obviously all wrong. And what did you think of that?
Again, I feel he's a character that was not needed. Very redundant. It was obviously you could take him out and nothing will change. Nothing will change. And I think it probably would have been better if they dug deeper into him as a character, and not being Wanda's brother, but maybe Raph Bonner and his relationship with Agatha, because I think it was Agatha's plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm yeah. So his relationship with Agatha, it'd be better, or maybe just take him out as a
I mean,
whole.
like, I definitely get that. I would love more time to dig into his character, but like, as the show is now with his character, honestly, like sure, he could have been developed on. Sure, he could have had this whole thing, and I think that would have been great. That would have been definitely. You could take out Hayward, take out all the unnecessary characters, and maybe emphasize on their dynamic more. That would have been really fun and interesting. But like, as the show is, I kind of like how he is in the show right now. Like, obviously, if there's some improvement to be made, make it. But I like him as in the show. He's there for, he's like a little twist. It kind of messed with Wanda a bit. He's trying to be all friendly, but, he really isn't all that, like, all that, like, he isn't real, obviously. And, I am disappointed how, like, they barely address him at the end. Like, they kind of just write him off. And so that's a bit disappointing, but the thing is, there's so much time wasted, and I feel like it could have been utilized better. I think that's like just the theme of WandaVision, like time that could have been utilized.
Yeah, I
time
think that's
wasted.
probably because you see in the first few episodes, it was kind of a little bit like comedy and stuff like that, and sitcom-y, right? And toward the end, I think they tried the writers, they try to change the style into more of like thriller mystery, and then they'd have these like weird scenes with a little bit of comedy in it. And again, I think those parts are like not needed. That's like wasted time, as you said. Like obviously the first one with the one with Vision and Darcy in the bus, that was not, I don't think that was needed at all. They could have used that for Peter and or Agatha. And yeah, that's a big problem with the show, wasting time. Because the show is not 30 minutes. It's 40 minutes, an hour long, each episode. And they could have utilized, those hours or those episodes so much better, for character development, for digging deeper into stories, digging deeper into characters. And still, it's a good show, but it could be better, obviously.
Yeah, I think at this point we've said all we can say about it. I think we've talked, like I've talked my ears off out about it. I feel like I'm getting a headache already. But yeah, I think it's good. I think it's time to call it a day.
What would you if you were to give this like a rating out of 10?
Rating?
What would you rate it? Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a huge believer in number ratings as like the end all be all, but maybe around like a 7 out of 10.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give it maybe 8.5.
8.5.
8 or 8.5.
Okay.
Because obviously, I promise you, dude, I did not have high expectations for the show. Like, I thought it was going to be like a dumpster show. I do like the twist though. I like how they like wait until the end of the episode to put on the twist.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that makes you want to come back for the next episode.
Yeah, in a week.
Yeah. Special thanks to Nicholas Biancalin. Make sure to subscribe to his YouTube channel at DNNote, or you could follow him on Instagram at nnote_music. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at not.film.critics and on Twitter at nonfilmcritics for exclusive content and news.
See ya.